All right, y'all. This is the Real Housewives of Atlanta. This is season 10. The first part to the reunion. I'm sorry that I'm kind of late on this video. I've been sick. And I know you guys, the last couple of videos, I was, kind of coughing in the videos and whatnot. Yeah, I have been coughing my lungs out, like coughing to the point where I'm coughing like in my sleep. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I'm feeling a little bit better today. Hopefully I can keep the coughing and the sneezing and whatever else to a minimum in this video. But yeah, let's talk about it. So, Andy, he's asking everybody how they're doing and everything. And then when he gets to Kenya, he's like, any word of a baby twirl or whatever. And, Kenya, she's like, I definitely wouldn't name, the baby twirl, that's already my dog's name or whatever. And so it was like a pause and everybody looking like, girl, so you pregnant? Like, are you pregnant and everything? And then she was like, oh, is this a question or whatever? And they like, yeah, girl, we waiting, like, say something, and then she kind of answers the question in a weird way. Y'all know how Kenya does. And she says that, we are going to be welcoming a boy or a girl later on this year, and everybody is happy for her. Like, especially, Portia. You guys know the turmoil over the years that has been between Portia and Kenya. And Portia, she was just really excited. And I'm not going to lie, I did like seeing that from her, that, reaction from her or whatever. But, yeah. They're happy for her and everything, and they're asking Andy is asking her how far along she is. She doesn't want to get into details too much until she gets to like a certain point, but I'm like, okay, does she have a surrogate? You know what I mean? That's what I'm thinking that maybe she might have, but I don't know. But if you really are expecting a baby or whatever, Kenya, whether you're having a surrogate or maybe even adopting, congrats to you and everything. I know that's something that Kenya has always kind of wanted or whatever. So yeah, congrats to you and Mark, if that's really happening for you guys. So they kind of go through like the looks of the ladies from the last 10 years or so. And then, one of the viewers, was kind of wondering why, Sheree has such a nice body. Why, all this season she was wearing joggers and sweatpants and stuff like that. And she's like, I ain't never been one to really show my body like that, anyway. And then, Andy is asking, well, what about the She by Sheree, clothing line? Like, what's going on with that? And she's like, it's more of a lifestyle. Well, no, she said, joggers or whatever. And then everybody's kind of looking like, huh? And she was saying, like, it's more of a lifestyle now. And then Candy, I guess she thought that maybe Sheree didn't understand the question quite well. So, Candy, she's trying to clarify what Andy was asking Sheree. And, Sheree is like, yeah, and I answered it. And then Candy was like, oh, okay, girl, well, it didn't seem kind of clear or whatever. And, Sheree is like, no, you weren't clear. And I'm like, damn, why are you coming at Candy like that out of all people? You know what I mean? And, Candy is like, well, damn, girl, why am I getting so much backlash or whatever? And then that's when Sheree was like, no, girl, I'm just saying or whatever. I was just like, yeah, Sheree, I just felt like that was kind of uncalled for, but, whatever. So he's asking her, so when is this line or whatever supposed to come out? And she was saying, like the way she answered it, she answered like as if she was just unsure about when this line is supposed to drop or whatever. And she was like, September, spring, summer or whatever. And I'm like, well, girl, technically it's spring now. September will fall more on the line of summer, fall. So when she said spring, summer, I was just kind of like, okay, girl, like, whatever. So then, one of the viewers is asking, Nene, like, you always talking about, you always calling Kim wig or whatever, but now it seems like you're the one who's always wearing wigs, Kim must be a trendsetter. And then Nene was like, girl, no, Kim, Kim's wigs, the difference between me and Kim is that her wigs come from Party City and everything, and Nene girl, I like you, but some people could probably say the same thing about your wigs, yeah, because your wigs are not always that great. Especially when Phaedra was still on the show. Y'all remember that one wig that Nene had wore that looked like one of them troll dolls or something like that? Yeah, like Nene, we could probably say the same thing about your wigs, but I'm just saying, but anyways, so then we really start getting into the overview of this past season. They talk about Candy trying to balance, her life between work and her family and all this other stuff. Excuse me. So, they're asking, like, why did Todd bring, Kim and Portia up during his speech during Candy's Essence magazine cover reveal or whatever. And Candy is like, I don't even know why. Like, I was even kind of looking at him like, really, like, was that necessary or whatever? Portia, she's like, I mean, shit, he kept on thanking me so much. I thought maybe I should have yelled, oh, you're welcome. You know what I'm saying? Andy is like, why keep on inviting Portia to events if you're going to talk bad about her all the time when she's around? And Candy is like, regardless of where me and Portia are at right now, I wanted everybody to see the cover. And then Portia was like, no, girl, you said you wanted to show me what winning looks like. Not nobody else, but just me. You know what I'm saying? And which is true. You know what I mean? Like, Candy, you did kind of like single Portia out or whatever. And Candy is like, listen, I don't think you understand. You could have killed my whole brand last year and everything. In which, we understand that or whatever. And Candy is like, you can't expect me to get over it overnight. Which, like I told you guys before, I understand that too. You know what I'm saying? I'm the type of person, I'm not like really quick to like, forgive somebody if they, have done me wrong or whatever. You know what I mean? But my issue with Candy and what became an issue for a lot of people as the season went along is like Candy. It's like, we understand it's going to take you some time to kind of really get over the situation. Completely understandable. But the issue is like you constantly were you constantly were shading Portia, and then like when she left the Barcelona trip, you was like, oh, I mean, I don't care about her leaving, like, bye, and just all this other stuff. But then y'all had y'all moments where it seemed like you was conversing with her, and it's like either you're going to be somewhat cordial with her or just don't talk to her at all. You know what I'm saying? Just do a hey, how you doing, and keep it moving. But don't sit up here and be conversing with her, making her think, okay, maybe we are making some ground. And then you just constantly shading her. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the part that kind of everybody is just like, I mean, come on, girl. Like, for real. You know what I'm saying? So Portia is like, and that's why I try to apologize to you even last year when we were sitting on the couch at the reunion and everything. I'm sorry, y'all. And she was like, even after, last year's reunion, we crossed paths in the hallway and we had, hugged off camera or whatever, this, that, and the third. But I knew that I needed to give you your space or whatever. Because I wasn't going to invade your space like that. You know what I'm saying? Knowing what just happened, because after last year's reunion, like about a month or so later, they started filming again for this season. You know what I mean? Candy feels as though Portia didn't own it. Didn't own, the whole situation. And Portia is like, I mean, I took full responsibility. What are you talking about? And Candy just wishes that Portia would admit that she was trying to go below the belt. And it's like, as this season has come along, I kind of feel like this. When somebody does apologize to you, you either going to feel one or two things. Either you're going to feel like it is coming from a sincere place, or you're going to feel like it's not. You know what I'm saying? Like, a person can give their most sincerest apology, And you could still feel like it's bullshit. You know what I'm saying? But I do kind of agree with Candy in the sense of maybe Portia should admit that, like, yeah, girl, you know, you right. When we had lunch or whatever, in last season, and we was going back and forth, you know, I felt like you had one up on me. So I felt like I had to, you know, get one up on you by saying what I said. You know what I'm saying? So I do kind of feel Candy on that, but it's just like when it comes to apologies, you know, the person that's receiving the apology could either feel like the person was sincere or could feel like they're not, even if the person is giving their most humblest, sincere apology. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, I'm just tired of this whole situation at this point. I just really hope we do not bring this shit into season 11. I'm over it, you know? Andy, he's saying like, well, it feels like that there's a disconnect or whatever as to why Candy still feels like it's not sincerity in your apology. And Portia is like, listen, child, I'm not going to keep on apologizing or whatever. And she feels like Candy is just dragging the situation at this point. They kind of get into it a little bit. And Andy is like, well, you know, I kind of want to move on because, you know, we're going to come back to this situation later on. And mind you, Candy was getting all emotional, you know, she was emotional and stuff as they were having this conversation. And, you know, Candy's like, do we really have to come back to this? And even I was kind of like, yes, do we really have to come back to this situation? Because, like, I'm just over it, you know. But anyway, so Andy, he asks, you know, Nene about, you know, trying to get Portia to apologize or whatever. And Nene is like, listen, I just wanted Portia to, like, really apologize to Candy or everybody, you know, sincerely. You know what I'm saying? And somebody, you know, a viewer or whatever was like, you know, they said, you know, they were asking Candy, like, you know, how Mama Joyce wanted to sit up here and fight Carmen a few seasons ago over rumors or whatever in regards to Todd, but sits up here and hugs Portia about some shit that could have really ruined your reputation. And Candy admits that she wasn't really too happy about, you know, she wasn't really too happy with her mom about, you know, meeting up with Portia, this, that, and the third, but she was more irritated because of what she said about Todd and that whole, y'all remember that whole conversation she had with Portia and was saying something about lemons or whatever she said about Todd. And, you know, Todd was kind of hurt because he felt like shit. I thought we was past that and everything. You know what I'm saying? And it was wrong for Mama Joyce to, you know, be like that towards Todd, especially at this point when y'all have made so much ground or whatever. But anyways, we have Marlo peeking backstage or whatever and sitting up here saying under her breath, you know, Portia is copying me and, you know, I'm the queen bitch, supreme bitch, you know, in my little Kim voice, you know, queen bitch, supreme bitch, because y'all know Portia, she had on like, you know, a crown or a tiara during the reunion or whatever and everything. And, you know, when Marlo was saying that, it's just kind of like, girl, you don't even have a fucking peach to be sitting up here talking about you're the queen bitch and all this other stuff. So, like, whatever. So, anyways, and by the way, I thought Portia looked really cute, you know. I thought, you know, her whole, even with her having the tiara on and everything and her whole, you know, I thought her whole get up was cute or whatever, you know. But, yeah, so they bring up Nene and Portia, Nene and Marlo's, you know, falling out and everything. And then, you know, where do Marlo and Kenya stand at this point? Because you guys remember that Marlo and Kenya had kind of made friends once her and Nene kind of fell out. And Marlo is like, me and Kenya, you know, that shit is non-existent or whatever. And she feels like Kenya wasn't really her friend. You know, Kenya feels like, you know, she really liked Marlo or whatever. But the point of no return for her was when Marlo last season had said, you know, when they was at the campfire, you know, your own mother doesn't even want you or whatever, this, that, and the third, and how everybody has known how, you know, Kenya has struggled with the whole situation with her mom, even into her adulthood and all this other stuff. And then Marlo was sitting up here saying something about, Kenya should really, be acting. And, Kenya's like, I do act or whatever. And Marlo was like, oh, as a C character and everything. And then they just start going back and forth. And, Kenya is calling Marlo James Amos in the wig. She's calling Marlo getting tongue tied. She's calling Marlo James Amos in the wig. And you guys remember James Amos, as the dad from Good Times or whatever. That joke kind of fell a little bit short to me because Marlo doesn't look nothing like James Amos, at least in my opinion anyway. So I was like, yeah, Kenya girl, I don't know about that one, but whatever. And Kenya is like, instead of worrying about everybody else's husband, maybe if you stop fucking everybody else's husband, maybe you could get one of your own and all this other stuff. And then Kenya, she's like, let's talk about John. You know what I mean? And how you tried to, I'm sorry, y'all. And how you tried to, blackmail Nene and everything. You guys remember the guy John many seasons ago when Nene and Greg was going through their divorce or whatever. And, she was talking to that little Italian dude named John. And he was buying her gifts and all that. You guys remember him. So, Kenya, she's like, when you and Nene fell out or whatever, you was trying to, pimp John out or whatever and got, 20,000 from him. And, how you took pictures, of messages between, Nene and John. And that's how you try to blackmail her and all this other stuff. Marlo, she admits that it wasn't right to talk to, John and everything or whatever, but she never slept with him. Nene, she kind of interjects and she's like, listen, I really don't care about all of that at this point or whatever. You know what I'm saying? That's in the past. And, they get on, if Marlo and Sheree is back on track or whatever with their relationship. And Marlo is like, well, I feel like me and Sheree was kind of getting there, but then she went over there with Kim. And I'm just like, even though I don't have a problem with that, but I just feel like, Sheree never tells Kim when she's wrong or whatever. And, it's like, you're supposed to be cool with Nene too. And we're going to get more into that, later on. So then we get on Kenya's marriage. And they talk about how, Kenya has talked about everybody's, husband or whatever. And why should she be exempt all of a sudden now that she's married? Which is true. We know that Kenya has talked about everybody's husband under the sun and their situations with their husband. And yeah, it is true. Why should Kenya be exempt? But I mean, all of it is just so childish. All of it is just so childish. And nobody should be doing that to anybody at this point. You know what I'm saying? Kenya, she does admit that now that she is a wife, she does understand. And if she could change some of the things that she has said about husbands or whatever, that she would. And Portia, she feels as though, oh, okay, so now that you're married or whatever, you realize, some shit, and I just feel like it's kind of unfair or whatever. And Kenya is like, listen, I don't think you want to open that Pandora's box, because there's a lot of history of you degrading me and everything. And it's like, I mean, come on, Kenya. You and Portia have both said, y'all both have said shit about each other. I'm sorry, y'all. You and Portia have said shit about each other over the years. So let's not even go there. Let's not even go there and try to pull that victim card out. Y'all both have said shit about each other. Whatever, So, they was asking, about the timing of her marriage and everything. And, Kenya's like, listen, he proposed to me or whatever 2 weeks before we was about to start taping again. It wasn't about, oh, I need this for a storyline. It's the simple fact that this is somebody that I'm in love with. He asked me to marry him. We eloped. It is what it is. It just so happened it was 2 weeks before filming. You know what I'm saying? She's saying how she still hasn't met Mark's parents. She's just talked to them over the phone. And I'm just like, that's kind of weird. That is kind of weird considering that y'all are married. You know what I'm saying? Like, Yeah, whatever. So, she does say that, at the time that they got eloped, that she thinks that Mark's parents was like on a cruise or whatever. So, Portia is like, well, listen, why wouldn't you tell your best friend about y'all getting married and everything? This, that, and the third. And like I said, it goes back to my whole thing of her own father didn't even know. You know what I'm saying? So it's just kind of like, I just still don't understand what's the big deal about Cynthia not knowing. But Kenya is like, listen, Cynthia can't hold water, and she would have told everyone. And Nene is like, what? Cynthia can't hold water? I never knew that. Maybe I need to think about some of the shit that I tell her, on some playful type of shit. Cynthia's hurt because it's like, no, like something near and dear to you like that, I wouldn't have told that. You know what I'm saying? Kenya apologizes for not letting Cynthia know. I don't know. Do you guys feel as though Cynthia would have been able to keep that to herself, or do you guys feel like, she would have ran and told everybody about it? Especially, Nene, because her and Nene are close as well. Like, yeah, y'all let me know. But anyway, so they bring up how Marlo doesn't like Kenya for Cynthia and their friendship or whatever. And Marlo feels as though Kenya is controlling and manipulative. And, Cynthia's like, I don't understand where people feel like I could be controlled and manipulated in this, that, and the third. And, I mean, girl, especially with your friendship with Nene over the years, that has been the perception. We kind of do feel like, I'm just saying, but hey, whatever. Anyways, so, Cynthia does have her moments where she feel like Billy Badass, and she does, say what she says what she feels like she needs to say, but yeah, you know what I mean? But anyway, so they get into charade about, whether she really wanted a nose ring or whether she was trying to throw shade at Mark. And it's like, come on, Andy, you already know she was trying to throw shade at Mark. She even threw shade at him in the confessional by sitting up here saying, oh, well, the last person I saw with a nose ring, the last dude I saw with a nose ring was Tupac. She was trying to throw hella shade. Like, let's be serious here. And so Kenya is like, he don't have a nose ring. He has a piercing. And I'm even like everybody else, like, girl, what's the difference? Y'all know I got a nose ring. I got a hoop in my nose. Yeah. I'm just saying. But anyways, so Kenya, she's like, I'd rather him have a piercing than to have handcuffs on him, Sheree or whatever. And Sheree is like, he's already in them if he's with you. And I was just like, ooh, okay. But still, Kenya has a point. At least her man is out and about living his life with her and everything, while your man is stuck in a jail cell. Just saying. You know what I mean? So anyways, Andy is asking the girls, who do y'all think is going to be next to be married? And Portia is like, well, Sheree is already talking about being married to Tyrone or whatever. And Kenya is like, oh, you going to get married in prison? And then Sheree is like, well, where did you get married? And, Kenya lets her know where she got married at, where she been saying all season. You know what I'm saying? And Kenya is like, but you said that, it was going to be 4 years before he gets out or whatever. Actually, the blogs said that. And, yeah, that's what we know at this point. But, Portia is like, well, no, she said it was going to be a couple of months on the show or whatever. And Sheree is like, say what now? And Portia repeated herself. And then Sheree is like, well, he's waiting on his hearing and everything. Girl, he ain't getting out until 2022. Or 21, whichever one. Okay? Like, yeah, he's not getting out no time soon. So, yeah, you know what I'm saying? And then she asks Portia when she's getting married. And Portia is like, oh, I'm getting married this year. In the name of Jesus, I'm getting married this year. And everybody just starts cracking up at Portia or whatever. And, Portia claims to be in a serious relationship or whatever. So then we move on to Portia versus everybody. And they talk about, Nene damn near almost flipping her wig and how her bun was coming out when her and Portia was going at it in San Francisco. So, what has changed? What has changed to where Portia has been able to go to Nene and ask her for advice or whatever. And Nene is like, listen, I've always liked Portia or whatever. When we had a tear in our relationship, it wasn't enough for me not to talk to her when she came to me in Barcelona or whatever about everything that she was dealing with. And so, Portia says that the viewers was surprised with Nene being there for Portia in Barcelona, but Portia wasn't surprised because she knows in reality her and Nene love each other and everything, and she never wanted to like really cross that line with Nene and really overly disrespect her because Nene has always been there. And then Andy is like, well, girl, ain't that the same thing with Candy? And then, Portia is like, well, listen, Candy never wanted to have like a one-on-one with me and everything. Nene did. So that's what kind of makes it, different or whatever. Which, I mean, yeah, I guess it is true. Candy doesn't want to really have no one-on-one with Portia. Nene allowed that to happen between them two. You know what I'm saying? And then on top of that, we all have been saying in regards to Nene and Portia's situation, that whole situation was just petty any fucking way. You know what I mean? But so they still asking Nene about, not owning up to wanting Portia fired, and Nene still saying that she didn't say fired, but she did feel like that her and Phaedra should have been gone after season 9 because it was so much negativity. And Portia, she's like, listen, regardless of what you said, it still hurt. You know what I'm saying? It still hurt me regardless, and I thought that we was friends. And Nene, she's like, okay, I could take that or whatever. I understand where you're coming from. And Andy is like, oh, okay, that's what's up or whatever. So then Andy is asking Portia, why did you say to Shamea not to trust anyone, including Sheree? And Portia is like, listen, Sheree calls herself the bone collector, right? So I'm telling Shamea to even be careful with her. And Sheree feels as though she's never given Shamea or Portia a reason not to trust her. And it's like, see, Sheree, that's where you're wrong. You've given every lady on that couch a reason not to trust you because they know how you operate. You sit up here and you're the self-proclaimed bone carrier. So yeah, you have given every lady on that couch not to trust you. I mean, shit. And like I told y'all before, we remember that shit you pulled with Candy many seasons ago when y'all went to Africa and you went back and told Kim that Candy had said some shit when really Cynthia was the one who had said some shit. So, and you didn't even have no issues with Candy for you to even sit up here and betray Candy in such a way. So, like, come on now. So, anyways, Portia is like, well, listen, do you trust me? And then Sheree is like, I mean, as far as I can throw you. And Portia is like, okay, exactly. That's my point. You know what I'm saying? So, like, what the fuck? Sheree is like, listen, these girls didn't even want to be around you at one point. And Andy is like, okay, well, Sheree has a point there. Why say not to trust Sheree if y'all were good this season? And it's like, like I said before, regardless of the fact that her and Portia have been good all this season, Portia ain't no dummy. You know what I'm saying? Although people try to, act like Portia is dumb, Portia ain't as dumb as she looks. Even Portia knows, like, Sheree is not to be trusted 100%. So, like, I mean, the fuck, you know what I mean? And some of the other YouTubers, they brought out a good point. Like, yeah, Sheree might have had Portia's back a couple of times this season or whatever, but she damn sure really didn't have her back at Barcelona. When her and Marlo was getting into it, she didn't really say nothing at that table in defense of... You know what I mean? So, yeah, whatever. So, Portia, she's like, looking back, you were shaking my house and saying all this other stuff or whatever. And, Andy gonna sit up here and say to Portia, do you feel like you owe Sheree an apology? And I'm like, for what? For what? Like I said last episode, I was getting irritated with Portia because I just wanted Portia, when they was at that Halloween party, I just wanted Portia to be like, yeah, girl, I said it because you are not to be trusted. It seemed like she was kind of timid or trying to think about what she said. I don't know. But it was irritating me because I just wanted her to be like, yeah, girl, I said what I said. And, like, the fuck? But anyway, so, Portia is like, okay, well, I did apologize about what I said to her or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I guess, like, off camera. And Sheree is like, well, I'm feeling like how Candy feels or whatever. Even though you apologize, you're sitting up here today justifying your actions, which I feel like Portia didn't need to apologize because we already know what we know about Sheree. But, Portia, she's like, girl, because we're at a reunion show, we're sitting up here having a conversation about it. You know what I'm saying? And Sheree is like, but there's still a but in your apology or whatever. And Sheree is like, Portia is like, okay, but when I initially apologized to you, I didn't say no ifs, ands, or buts or whatever. And Sheree is like, she's loyal. Who's loyal to her? Cynthia's like, okay, girl, we get it. We know that you're loyal to Kim and everything, whatever. And so, Portia is like, when we were in Barcelona, y'all kept on questioning me about Kim and everything, but what about Sheree? And they like, listen, we questioned Sheree about the shit too. And Portia's like, yeah, y'all did, but I'm saying now that y'all see the playback or whatever, and now y'all know that Sheree knew about that video. Like, how do y'all feel now? Are y'all gonna get on her now? And they like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? And Sheree is like, oh, you're trying to deflect and everything. And Portia is like, no, I'm not trying to deflect. I'm just, bringing up the obvious here, And Sheree, she's like, I don't have to carry anything that I don't want to carry, and nobody has tried to save me or whatever. And Portia is like, yeah, that's because your ass be quiet the whole time collecting information just so you can run back and tell Kim. Like, you never have an opinion on nothing. Like, I don't really see the lie in what Portia said, And Nene feels as though Sheree should have said something, whether it was to her or somebody else in the group, because, because what she knows about Sheree and Kim, had the shoe been on the other foot, they wouldn't have liked that shit at all. You know what I'm saying? And, Portia is like, we saw you talking to Kim and you still didn't say that she was wrong or whatever, this, that, and the third, and, blase. And, Sheree claims how she does call Kim out. I don't ever see her. Like, I don't never see it. The rest of the viewing audience never sees it, and Nene, she's like, no, Sheree says that nobody has ever been loyal to her or whatever. And Nene is like, she's like, nobody has ever given her any bones. And, Nene is like, that's a motherfucking lie because, I called you with Cynthia and, and told you that the people was asking me about Tyrone and everything, this, that, and the third. And, Sheree owns up to that or whatever. And Nene is like, you don't tell us shit. And, that kind of makes you look awful. And you don't give nobody a chance to be loyal to you. And Sheree is like, girl, please, I've gotten you into clubs or whatever when you wasn't that girl and all this other stuff. And it's like, what does that... You getting somebody into a club does not mean that you're loyal. Anybody could fucking do that. If you like somebody's vibe or whatever, if you feel like they a fun time person, you could do that for anybody. That doesn't mean that you're fucking loyal. You know what I'm saying? And Nene is like, listen, I wanted to have fun with you and Kim this season. I wanted to have a clean slate with y'all or whatever, this, that, and the third. And, Sheree is still saying how she carries bones that she wants to carry. And that was the episode, you guys. I'm so sorry this review is so long. I hope you guys make it all the way through 34 minutes. But make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you guys come back. And I'm gonna try my best to come back in here for Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. But if not, it will be up tomorrow. But all right, y'all. I'll see y'all later. All right, y'all.